would like to read you. Where'd Dorothy go? Dorothy? Dorothy? Can I say her name? Do I say it? Okay. You can have your attention. I'd like to read to you Emily's story. It's called A Day in the Life of Someone with Depression. It's 8 o'clock and I hear a knock on my door. It's my mom telling me it's time to wake up. But what makes this day any easier than the last? Why should I get up this morning? Yesterday was yesterday, and today is a day, yes. But today is also the test that I have been stressing about over the last week. Although my mom wants me to wake up, shower, brush my hair, and do my makeup and get ready for the day, I'm afraid I can't do it. I tell her today's not the day. Today I can't do it. I will try again tomorrow. All of my thoughts begin to suffocate me as I lie in bed staring at the white ceiling. I pause for a moment and go into immediate panic. If I do not go, then I am simply going to fail. And if I fail this test, my marks will go down. And I won't get into the university that I want to go to. However, for me at this point in my life, I simply do not care. As much as I would love to have lost any sense of motivation to accomplish my best in everything from school, friends, family, and myself, I cannot tell my mom why I have to stay home from school because I fear that she will not understand or believe me. So I simply blame it on that time of the month. I think to myself, okay, you got this. You can lay in bed for an hour, and after that you'll get ready, okay? Yes. It's now 10:05, and I still haven't moved from the bed. I begin to think to myself about the next class. It will be starting any minute now. When the teacher takes attendance, I am the one, again, not there. Will that raise questions? Will they wonder where I am, or just assume that it was my choice not to come? I sit up and start to think about what will happen if I show up tomorrow. Are people going to ask me where I was? What was I supposed to say? I'll just tell them that I had an appointment. I think about my response, and then I go to panic mode once again. I try to catch my breath, but eventually break down into tears. I lay in my bed, and my mind immediately turns blank. I close my eyes, and I lay there wondering if tomorrow will be better, if the rest of the day will be better. If I get that text from Mom checking up on me. Hi, hon, how you feeling? Think you can go to school after lunch? As much as I would love to tell my mom exactly how I'm feeling at this moment, I simply cannot. So I respond with, meh, I'm feeling okay. Not going though. I know that I have let her down, or at least that's what I feel like. I have this voice in my head telling me that I have messed up once again, and that the voice keeps telling me until I can fully hear it. Believe me, I hear it. I begin to look at myself in the mirror with my naked face, and I watch the tears run down my face. The crying progresses, and it gets to short breaths. But why? This voice is just a voice, right? Not to me. Somehow I cannot manage to keep this voice out of my head, constantly telling me that I am not good enough, that this is all ridiculous, that I can go to school and I can simply sit in the assembly for a long period of time without feeling like I'm going to pass out. But you see, this wasn't always the case. I wasn't always like this. It's something that's developed in grade 9. I remember my first panic attack so clearly. It was in math. It had been just after lunch when we were preparing for EQAO. I was sitting at my desk and suddenly began to sweat profusely and got very lightheaded. I began to hyperventilate. I left the room crying. When my teacher came out to talk to me, I didn't have an explanation for what had just happened because it was all new to me as well. On top of the depression, my anxiety seemed to get worse with time. It's lunchtime now, and I search my fridge for something to eat. And when I don't see something jump out at me right away, I begin to panic and think that there is nothing for me. Suddenly, everything I seem to do turns out badly. Instead of making something, I grab a couple of granola bars and head back to my room. I get a text from Mom again, checking up on me, except this time she tells me that I have an appointment with my doctor. I had just seen him a couple of days ago. Why again? Right, my pills. My mom says that to be ready at 3, and I tell her I will be. I lay in bed and set my alarm for 2:45 because all I have to do when I wake up is just throw some clothes on and brush my teeth. It is now 3:03 and I begin to panic. My mom said to be ready at 3. I begin to run every possibility through my mind why she has not come yet and begin to get very worked up and scared. As 5 minutes goes by, I have calmed myself down. My mom pulls in the driveway. I become very shaky as I do up my boots, and I start to have thoughts of what I am going to ask her as to why she was late. The voice in my head keeps telling me that the worst possible scenarios, but I try to tell myself that it's okay, and it's probably traffic. I get in the car, and I'm on the edge. Because of her being late, I sit silently in the car as we drive to the doctor's. I can't hold it in anymore. I start crying. I get upset with my mom because she did this to me. But she meant no harm. Try telling that to the voice inside my head. We arrived at the doctor's, and I wait with my mom in the waiting room. It's just us, so I am okay. I am calm. I take sips of my water to keep me that way. A mother and a daughter walk into the office, and I begin to sit up in my chair and wiggle around because suddenly I become very uncomfortable. I ask my mom how long it will be, and she has no answer. I simply go to the receptionist, how long, and she tells me I am next. Okay, I take a deep breath, and I take my seat again. I get called into the doctor's office but my mom follows me. I get into the room, and I get up under the bed. I just ripped the paper, though. There's a voice in my head again telling me I messed up, and that was a horrible thing to do. I show a look of fear on my face with my mom asks, what's wrong? Once again, I tell her something that is not true, and I tell her that I'm fine. 15 minutes have passed and no sign of the doctor yet. I begin to get very anxious and curious as to why she has not come yet. Am I not important? Does she have better things to do? My doctor then comes in and says the normal things, such as asking how I am and what brings me here. I tell her that I need the refill on my pills, and she asks, have they been working? I explain to her that some of my symptoms I have had with them, and she assures me that they are all common symptoms. I begin to talk to her about everything that has gone on in the last 3 months and describe to her in detail of how I'm feeling. After explaining to her, she suggests we increase the dosage. So I agree because she's my doctor, and she knows what she's talking about. And as she's talking to me, I begin to sweat and get anxious and begin to cry a little. Does this woman think I'm crazy? I mean, I wish I did not think that way because it's that voice in my head telling me these things once again. I thank the doctor and leave with my mom to go pick up my pills. Sometimes I feel like nothing is good enough and nothing is ever going to help, no matter how many people I talk to or how many pills I take. I doubt that the things will get better. However, with the support I have, and I am constantly assured that things will get better over time. It's after school now, and I have come home and go straight to my room. I wish I had the energy to interact with the rest of my family, but I simply cannot collect myself to do so. At this point in my day, I have little interaction with any of my friends, and I begin to wonder if they forgot about me. Once again, I know that they haven't, but I have that voice inside of my head tells me these things like, they have moved on, or you're no longer important to them. I mean, I fear these things, these kinds of things, because it's happened too many times. Time goes on, the night rolls on. Seems to be the only thing I look forward to is showering, and so I get into the shower. Shortly after, I find myself laying there thinking to myself about every little thing wrong with my body and wrong with myself, and myself bawling and grasping my head with my hands and thinking to myself, why? I let the time go by and I collect myself. I finish up and I get out of the shower. I get ready for bed as quick as possible because my bed is the only place that I feel full comfort. I lay in my bed and I get up. I get a glass of water so that I can take my pills. As I wash down my pills, I hope that they will allow me to finally get a good night's sleep. However, an hour passes by and I still find myself up and wide awake. The only things that has changed is the color of my room. I am in pitch black, and I figure that will help me sleep, but it does not. I find myself up 3 hours as I pull myself into bed. I try everything to fall asleep, but my thoughts keep overwhelming me and keeps me awake. What will tomorrow be like? Am I going to have a bad dream tonight? Eventually, I fall asleep. Thank you, Emily, for sharing your story. I can't say that it wasn't difficult to read, sweetie. Okay, now we're going to have Brittany come up with her guitar, if I can find her. She was at the back. I can see her.